Hey guys, welcome to the show. I have Anna Kloots here, and she is a New York Times bestselling author and content creator whose stories might just inspire you to pick up your life and move to Paris like she did years ago. After deciding to move abroad, Anna went freelance, co created a company with her sister, signed her first book deal, and signed a lease on an apartment, which she renovated into her dream place. And now she lives with her upstairs neighbor turned fiance, who's here with us for just a little bit, and her 3 pound poodle. So, welcome you guys to the show. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, love it. So cute. All right. So, I know you can only be here with us for a few minutes, both of you guys together. So, maybe do you want to just tell me your quick story of how you met?
Yeah, we just reenacted it for engagement photos, which was very fun. That's why I
I
have my
love
stuff.
that.
We met when Paris went back into a second lockdown, which here was called confinement. We were living in the same building for 8 months, but didn't really know. I was downstairs and he was upstairs, and we had never properly met. I was out with my friends all day. I had kind of planned myself my ultimate dream date because I knew the city was shutting down. I only had one last day to enjoy Paris. So I woke up at the crack of dawn and I planned myself my own dream day in Paris. And it ended at my best friend's flower shop. I helped her close up shop.
Amazing.
And then we went out for dinner, and then I ended the day in front of my door, and I had like 5 bouquets of flowers because we had shut down her flower shop, and I had taken home all these bouquets. So I was standing there holding so many bouquets of flowers I couldn't even see over my face. And I just didn't want to go inside because I knew once I went inside, like lockdown was starting again, and I wouldn't be just allowed to like freely stand on the street anymore. So I was just like, I need to just stand here and like soak up being free while I can. And I was just standing there blocking the door completely from anyone entering or exiting. And up he walked, trying to just enter the door. And I lowered my flowers, and it was like, "You live here? You live here?" And then in a bad French English, limited speaking because I had too much wine. Me trying to speak French and him trying to speak English and French. We realized we lived in the same building. I walked up the stairs together, and he was like, "Do you happen to have vases for all of those flowers? Why do you have so many flowers?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sure I'll figure it out." And then about 15 minutes later,
time to clean up.
There was a time for him to clean up a bit. There was a knock on my door, and he was there with a vase and some wine. And then he came in, and the rest is history.
And now we're here.
Wow. So how long ago was that? So that was like during lockdowns, so like 2020, 2021, like around there?
Yeah, that was October 28th, 2020. 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is seriously like a rom-com. You guys need to like copyright this and be like, this is our movie romance. Like,
What
it's
was
so
funny
amazing.
is Emily in Paris had come out that October that year.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And when that show came out, I had been dating all summer, and I have a friend in Paris named Emily. And after the first episode of that show, I had texted her and I was like, "What is this crappy story where you meet your upstairs neighbor and he speaks perfect English and he's cute?" I was like, "This doesn't happen to anybody," because I was so jaded from all this like terrible dating, and I was just like, "What are they trying to sell? This doesn't happen." And lo and behold, like literally 3 weeks later, I bump into my neighbor, and it is the exact same thing.
That is incredible. Yeah. All right. So then the vase handoff happens. And then that was all for that night. Did you guys see each other again or like make it a point to see each other again?
Come in, sit on the couch. He came in and because he had wine. This was the smart move. He came in with wine.
Oh, good move. Yeah.
We started chatting, and we talked for like hours that night.
Wow.
And then music was on, and like the music was on, and so then we were like listening to the music, and then at some point he stood up out of nowhere and goes, "Do you want to dance with me?" And I was like,
"Stop." So romantic.
Here now? And he was like, "Pourquoi pas?" And I was like, "Pourquoi pas?" And so then we started dancing, and we were dancing to like there was like a silly song that came on. We were like fast dancing, and then some other dancing, and then Elvis Can't Help Falling in Love with You came on, and so then like he like pulls me in close, and then we were like slow dancing. And I mean, then it was like I was like, oh no, I was like, what is happening here? I was like, this, what,
No,
I
my
mean,
age at this point.
so I mean, it was just too funny.
Wow. That is incredible. So then from that point on, you guys were inseparable, dating? Like, is that
Yeah,
how
I
it kind
mean,
of happened, or was it more gradual?
what was so funny is it was confinement, right? So we couldn't go anywhere. I mean, France took it so strictly. In France, we weren't allowed to leave a 1 kilometer radius of our homes.
Wow.
So I was working on my first book. I was pretty much inside all day, every day. I wasn't going anywhere. Him, because of his work, he actually was able to travel around because it was necessary for his job. So he was traveling around to different, areas of Paris during the day. But then when he would get back at night, then you were trapped in for the night. So every night we would end up cooking together and hanging out all night because there was nothing else to do. And so, anybody who was dating during COVID, you were dating in reverse. Like you started dating and you were basically in the setting of a very serious relationship all of a sudden, or like basically a marriage where you're essentially living together and essentially cooking every night and spending every night having like these very long conversations. Neither of us have a television, so like it's not like we were just sitting around watching TV. Like every night we would cook dinner and drink a bottle of wine and dance or talk or just like laugh for hours. So we really got to know each other very fast. And France didn't open until May of that year. Like It was May 19th that the restaurants reopened. And so on May 19th, we went out for like our first date. And
cool.
I mean, we met in October 28th was, so like months, and it was funny because then it was like, okay, so what does our relationship look like now that we're actually allowed to go places and see other people and do things? Because we were kind of in this little bubble. But it was interesting. Like in so many ways, we might have never properly met or never gotten to know each other well enough for our relationship to work had it not been under that exact setting.
Yeah, that's true. It is almost like a pressure cooker when it is COVID. Thank you for joining us for a little bit. Appreciate it.
I took. All right.
So good. But yeah, I do feel like with COVID, it is sort of this pressure cooker where it's like you can see how your relationship will actually be when it's like just the two of you and that's all you can do. There's nowhere else you can go really, and you have to live your lives together. And so I feel like that's really a true test for a relationship, and you guys passed the test. You guys got through it. So it's awesome.
I think it was nice too because, and I mean, he's also not the kind of, I know him well enough now that I know like he's not a game player. He is like I'm in, I'm all in. And that's kind of the French mentality anyway. But at the point I was in my life, I was still like, my divorce was finalized October 1st. I was still very much like, he laughs and I remember, but not even to the degree that he remembers, that like the night we met, I was like, just so you know, I don't want a boyfriend. I never want to get married again. And I don't want a boyfriend and I don't want a relationship. Like I said this to him.
That's hilarious.
So strongly because I was still just like, I don't want to have to deal with men. Like it was just so much not something I wanted. I didn't want to be on a man's emotional roller coaster again. I was just like, I just got off of that and I am back on like just my own ride, which is pretty smooth. And I would like to just stay on my own ride. And so I think the beauty of any kind of COVID relationship is like, it took a lot of the games out of it because like, you can't be like, oh, I got plans tonight. What plans do you got? You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. It was a nice time because it was just like everything was so stripped down. and we were literally upstairs and downstairs, and so it was just like, it wasn't weird to just be like, so can I see you again tonight? Because it was like there's nothing
Right.
else.
Yeah. You're literally next door neighbors. Yeah. That's amazing. So your relationship progressed. And I know in your bio, it said that you now live with your upstairs neighbor. So when did that all come into play of like moving in together?
Well, so when I met him, I was in an Airbnb, and because of
Okay.
COVID, that Airbnb turned into basically a lease for as long as COVID was happening. The
Makes
owner of
sense.
my Airbnb was not French, so they couldn't come back. And because of lockdown, there were no tourists coming and using it. So we kind of struck an agreement of like, as long as you want to stay, you are just helping me out. And I learned the reality of how hard it is to find an apartment here as an expat. And I learned that I was not just going to live in an Airbnb for a month and in that time find an apartment and move out the way that I thought I was when I first moved here. So I lived there for almost a year while I found an apartment. And
Okay.
and then once I found my place, which was in March of 2021, then I started renovating it. And I mean, that took another like 2 years start to finish, honestly, till it was like
Yeah.
done.
It looks
And
gorgeous from what I've seen. All the work you've done's amazing.
it was a headache, but ça va le coup, as the French say. It was worth it.
Yeah.
Um, but when I moved over here, I mean, he was such a huge part of me doing all of this. I could not have done it on my own, just from not understanding the words in French when, people are coming over and you're trying to get electrical things fixed and changed. And so he was like integral to me doing all of this and helped me select so many of the things and rent cars to go pick up my ancient, grandmother style bed out in the middle of nowhere, France. So he really,
Amazing.
really was kind of like us making this place together from the start. And then he was basically staying here every night anyway, and then just like fully officially moved in after I had been living here for about 6 months.
Nice.
So yeah, so then we
That's
migrated over
exciting.
to this place.
Yeah. And then, so that was like, it was 5 years ago that you guys met ish. And then when did it come time where you guys were like, okay, we're ready to get engaged? Like, was that a conversation you had? Was there like ring shopping involved? Like, what was that point for you?
Honestly, it was very hard for me to wrap my head around the idea of getting remarried.
Yeah.
I was very content to just not ever get remarried, and from day one I had said that. So he was sort of always content that if I never wanted to, he was like, as long as I get to live my life with you, that is fine. And
That's
France is
sweet.
very much, not getting married here is very normal. Getting what they just call paxed, which is they basically have like a variety of ways to just be together without getting, legally married or having a religious ceremony. There's many things they do, and it's much more normal to not get married here. So he was okay with that too. And we were both just kind of also aware of like, there is no rush. I was so not bothered by the typical, you've been together this amount of years, where's the ring?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And as those kind of comments started to like pop up, it actually made me want to get married all the less, because I was
Yeah,
just
I
like,
know. Yeah, you're like, no, I want to
it's
take it on my own time. Yeah.
it was very much just something where I was like, if one day I feel like if one day we really feel like for some reason we want to be married to each other, then we'll do that. But in our heads and minds, like, we weren't going anywhere as
Mm-hmm.
of, probably as of once he really moved in here, and once we had been together for probably, I'd say after around like 3 years, because you go through some things. Like, we have
Yeah.
not had a picture perfect relationship. We have gone through some things, and you go through some different battles and some different, especially like going through, we're from different countries. We have different
Right.
cultures, we grew up in such different lifestyles, different priorities. Like, there was a lot of things that were just very different about us in some ways, but at our core, we really are kind of a very similar person. Um, and we always kind of knew that, and that was kind of always what really like this glue that just like kept us together, and always kind of in my gut always made me know like any of these other little things are very workable, because in our soul, like we're the same.
Mhm.
And that is so rare. And that is such like a beautiful thing to find in someone else, where you're truly like, this person is really a soulmate of mine. And you're like that, any other like little like nitpicky thing that can so be worked around, or we can work through those things if I really truly feel like this person belongs to my soul. So
Wow.
we knew we're not going anywhere, and I didn't need a diamond to prove that, and I didn't need a wedding to prove that. And I kept saying,
Mhm.
I can't plan another wedding. I kept saying
Yeah,
that
totally. It's a lot.
I can't do another wedding. I kept saying that, and I was very focused on wedding. I kept
Mm.
saying, I don't want another wedding. I can't plan another wedding. I want to do another wedding. I kept saying that over and over and over again. And it was one day last December that we were sitting in church together, and we had just had a big fight, actually.
Of course. Always on the way to church, right?
Before, I think we'd had a fight the night before, so we woke
Yeah.
up Sunday morning in a fight, and I was like getting ready to go to church alone or something, and he got ready and came to church anyway with me, and we were in church together, and he like, in church, and we were arguing anyway, but then you're in church and it's like you're not talking in church, there's music and you're saying the things. And I remember he like reached out for my hand in church and like held my hand, and I got so emotional, because I was so used to, in my old relationship, just fights, just was always like, it was always like, if we're fighting, this isn't working, and I'm out. And that's what, that's what happened. In the end, it was just like, I'm out. And there were so many times before the final out of like my ex-husband wanting out, because it was like, we're fighting, I'm over this, I'm out.
Mm.
And so I was just so afraid, I guess, in some ways, of like, you fight and someone's going to leave. Like you fight and eventually like someone's just going to be like, you're too much, or like, I just can't handle this. Like the fighting, like I'm going to leave. And I think like it was sitting in church, and our church is so beautiful. And I always dreamed of getting married in this church since I was 19 years old. I used to go to this church during
Oh
my
my
semester abroad.
gosh.
And I would sit in the American Church of Paris, and I would look around and would sit up in the balcony exactly where we were sitting. And I would sit there and think, imagine getting married in this church one day. It would be the most magical thing in the world. And we were sitting there, and he took my hand, and I realized like this, I don't care about a wedding. This isn't about having another wedding. Like I don't even need another wedding. I don't want another wedding. I want a marriage, because I never had one.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh,
like I
that's
really
so
didn't. I
beautiful.
never had a marriage. I didn't. I had a wedding, but I never had a marriage.
Yeah.
And so I realized I do. I want a marriage. I never got to have one, and I would like to try. And so
Oh my gosh.
I
That
realized
is
like,
so beautiful.
and so that's why after it was last December that I said to him, I said, I actually, if you do still want to get married, if I haven't said too many times, I refuse to marry you. If I haven't said too many times, I do think it would be a beautiful thing to get married.
Wow. What a story. That is so touching. Like just having like all of those pieces come into place and then being at that church at that moment and having that big light bulb moment and realization for your relationship. And it's just like everything coming together all at once is so beautiful. And it just makes your marriage even more meaningful. And like with you having been through a wedding before and in a relationship before, it's like you had this fresh perspective of like what a marriage truly is, and you found that, and to want that again I think is so beautiful, and just an amazing story, and thank you for sharing that with us. I think it's so amazing and very emotional, I'm sure. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
everyone had. I know a lot of people who have gone through a divorce and then say, I never want to be with anyone again. It's going to be me and dogs or me and cats or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
I
Yeah,
totally
for sure.
and I was very much like that. And there is still like I know how hard it is to rebuild yourself after your life comes crashing down. And so I still so fiercely guard who I am, and the idea of becoming, someone else's again is a hard thing to part with. Like I think there was a big part of me that was like, no, my identity is me, and
Right.
I can't, and to get married again, I don't want to lose me. I can't. I'll just date. I can be with someone, but I can't go through all of that again. I can't take that risk again. I just need to always just be me, and I that's what I would prefer. But
Hmm.
it's just really that I had never properly been with someone who I really fully felt completely loved by and completely had total trust in. Is that was a game changer for me, someone who really taught me like, you're never going to lose yourself in me. That's
Yeah,
not a
that's beautiful. Yeah, I know. I can definitely see a lot of people who have their whole identity wrapped up into the other person. And yeah, I think there's so much of like keeping yourself and being yourself in a relationship and having your own interests and things and still fully being yourself while fully being with somebody else. It's like, it's not easy to do, but yeah, definitely something to look forward to in your marriage. So, yeah. So let's talk about the engagement. So from that time at church and you saying that you actually do want to get married, then when did the ring happen? Did you know it was coming at all?
Well, I had told him then. I said, you don't have to. So then we were like, okay, yes, we will get married. He was very excited. I started to get very excited. I was like, this will be beautiful. We told our families we want to get married. Everybody was excited. Um, and then I sort of said, like, I don't even, need a ring. Because again, like this, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
important to me to do the typical things. Like I didn't care about following the typical format. I didn't care if we had a wedding. I really didn't
Yeah, totally.
need to do any of those things. I was happy to do it if it mattered to him, of course. I love a party and a celebration, so I'm happy to do it, but it wasn't like me dying to get the ring, be a bride, I was
Right.
right. So uh,
Yeah.
we decided, we told our families we were going to do this, and then we kind of decided like, okay, well, what is this going to look like? And I sort of said to him, like, I don't need a ring. You don't have to propose. He had actually proposed a couple of times to me before. And
Oh
so
my gosh, that's
I said, you
sweet.
don't have to propose again. You proposed before, it's okay. And he was like,
And
no, no,
when he
I'm
did that, it was like, "No,
not
I'm not
prepared.
ready."
I
Yeah.
had said I'm not ready. The last time you had proposed, I said, I promise I'll marry you one day. So
That's so good.
but so I had said, you don't have to propose, like, but he was like, no, I want to propose. I want to get you a ring. I want to propose. And I was like, okay. I was like, because I know like so many women have their dream. We forget that like men have dreams too, right? Like
That's so
some
true.
men
Yes.
fantasize about what their proposal is, and like this man is such a romantic. I mean, this is France in
My
general,
gosh.
but like he is such a romantic. Like, of course, he wanted a moment, he wanted a proposal, like he had dreams of this. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to take this away from you, of course, if you want to do this, of course. And I did say, I said I would love though if it was a surprise, because that would be the only thing that matters to me, is that like I'm truly shocked, like I really don't know what's coming. And I said, I don't need a production. I don't want, you
Yeah.
know orchestra and fireworks, and I don't
I'm
need
with you, girl. Yeah,
I don't need a
totally.
setup of like I'm walking into a bridal extravaganza proposal. I said that just so
Right.
you know that like pressure's off if you feel the need to do that. I don't need that to be happy, code. I don't want that, but
Yeah.
not needed for me. Just so you know, like if you just propose on the street one day when we're walking the dog, I'd be very happy.
That's awesome.
But did not listen to that at all.
He's like, I'm on my own path here. He's making his own dreams come true at this point.
And then the one thing I did say about my ring was I said I really do want it to be an antique. I said I don't want a new ring. I want it to be an
So
antique, and I
good.
want it to be something we find in Paris.
So cool.
And I love things with a story and a history and something that has meaning. And so I said we started kind of looking at like things we liked and just paying attention. There's antique stores everywhere around here. So as we were walking around together, we just started, paying attention to jewelry stores and popping in and looking at things. And I loved the idea of just something that caught our eye, or something that was, something that just spoke to you the same way, like everything in my apartment is an antique. And it's just because it spoke to me on the street. It evoked a feeling. And I was like, I love that. It makes me feel something. And I found this is a marquee.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
And what I learned about when I first saw one, I saw one when we were down in Antibes, and it was shaped a bit differently, but it was the first time I had tried one on. And the woman said, do you know the story behind this? And I was like, no, I don't know the story of this shape. And she said, it's actually a shape that was made in France. And she said, King
Wow.
Louis had it made. She said he went to the official court jeweler and he said, I want a stone in the shape of the lips of my lover because they're so perfect. And I was like, sold.
Stop.
I was like, this is the official shape of France, and it's
Yeah.
shaped like a kiss. I was like, come on, I'm dead.
Wow.
And I loved that it was just like you don't see it a lot. It's not what you see most commonly. So I loved it for that reason. And so then I was just like, I think that's what I love most. I'm kind of narrowed in on an antique ring and ideally a marquee.
Wow.
So then it was just on both of our radars, and we were just, kind of every time we were out, just kind of scouring and looking for one. And it was one day we were just walking around we were walking the dog, and it was like this beautiful sunny day, and we were walking past antique jewelry store that we walk past all the time, and it was right in the window, and like caught our eye at the same time, and I was just like, we both were like, laser eyed, and went in and tried it on together, and then left. And I was just like, okay. I was like, well, that one, that one was really pretty. And then he's such a terrible liar. Like a week later, he was like, oh, that ring's gone. They sold it to someone else. And I was like, oh. I knew they didn't sell it to someone else.
Yeah, you're like, I know you have this ring.
We were looking at like several at the same time because there are like, there's a lot. So I wasn't 100% sure it was this one, but I was pretty sure because I had a feeling the second I put it on, I was like, that's mine. I was like, that is me. I was like, that is supposed to be mine.
That's incredible. So it's like
he redesigned this part with the jeweler.
Cool.
So it took a while then. It was like another month then that he proposed because they redesigned this band together and actually made this part look like on a ring from a different place that we had found that I really liked.
Cool.
That band. So that was quite thoughtful. Nice. He knew that I had really liked the band from another place. And so he had them redesign that band to look more like that one. And yeah, it's honestly exactly like what I would have dreamed, and I really love it. It's from the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I see a lot of engagement rings, and I will say yours is one of my favorites that I've seen. I love it. I love antique too. So it's like the marquee, and then it has other diamonds like around it too, right?
Yeah, there's a marquee in the middle, and then there's a, like it's like paved marquee around it. So anytime it's shaped like this, it's called a marquee. But then a lot of the
Yeah.
marquees we saw had like a round stone in the middle, or it was just all paved. And I really wanted a marquee in the middle as well
Yes.
because then it just like really made it. Once they
Yeah.
told me about the lips thing, I was dead. I was like, it
Oh
has
yeah,
to be.
you're like sold, done. Yeah. Okay, so then it comes time for the proposal. And it was while you were like dancing in your apartment, sort of similar to how you
No,
first met?
that would have been more surprising. We
Oh, that's right. I saw the photos. It was out and about.
why it wasn't a surprise. And this isn't a problem. Honestly, any proposal is wonderful. But I had just said like,
Yes.
and the reason I said I wanted to be surprised is because you don't want, at least I don't want to know what's coming, right? Because then you're like, oh no, now I know it's coming. What am I supposed to wear? What now? Am I supposed to pretend like I don't know so now I'm supposed to act so that like, or do I just pretend like then
Yeah.
you as the woman are in this like complex, right? Of like, what do I
Right.
do now? Am I playing along or do I whatever? So I was like, that's why I really was just like, I really do just want to be not have any idea that this moment is coming.
Yeah.
But we were about to leave for the US to go be with my family and be in the US for like a month. And I had a feeling that he would propose in Paris, not the US, because, we live here. This is our city, right?
Right.
He proposed in Ohio instead of for Paris, although he loves Ohio. So I wouldn't have been surprised if he did propose.
I love that.
We were like it was like one of our last nights here. And he was like, I made a dinner reservation for tonight at 10 o'clock, which isn't that abnormal. We go out to dinner all the time and like he'll plan a fun
Yeah.
but he was like, you should wear something very fancy. And I was like, oh, no, I should wear something very fancy. And he was like, yeah, very fancy. And he was like, I'm going to wear my suit. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh,
Okay.
all right. So I was like, okay, well, and so then in my head, I'm like, all right, well, I guess that. So then I'm like, he's proposing at a restaurant, which is my actual nightmare. A
Oh
restaurant
no. Yeah,
proposal,
because
like
there's people
a
around and
ring and a
yeah.
suit, or like strangers around. And I'm like, he knows me better than that to propose in a restaurant. Like we've talked
Right.
about this. Like a restaurant proposal is my nightmare. Like he knows. So I'm like, he's not doing that. So then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm like, so I should be super fancy. And he was like, no, 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 because we're gonna go to the Palais Royale first to walk Miette. And I was like, okay, he's gonna
There it
propose at
is.
the Palais Royale. And I was like, well, I was like, that's perfect. I was like, that's actually was my
Yeah.
dream proposal that you just proposed at Palais Royale when we're walking the dog. And I was like,
Beautiful.
I didn't know, but it's okay. But
Uh,
but Palais Royale full of dust, like dust everywhere. The dog runs, dust, like balls of dust, like Charlie Brown, like Pigpen style dust. And so I went, we dressed up at Palais Royale, dust everywhere, Miette running around. And then, so then I'm like, now what am I wearing? Like, so like, and then I'm like, I'm not going to be one of those girls who wears like, I'm like, here I am in a perfect white dress and I just happen to be
right.
getting married. So I'm like, that's not,
Right. Totally.
so now I'm like flipping through my everything else I own is black. It's April, it's still freezing in Paris. So I'm like, I don't want to wear black. I'm like, what am I wearing? I'm panicking. I'm like, can I just wear jeans? Everything I didn't want to happen is happening to me where I'm like, I don't know what to wear. Am I supposed to be pretending like I don't know this is happening even though it's happening? And so I
Yeah.
end up putting on the most random dress that I've never worn. I mean, it's cute. It's a cute dress, but like I've never worn this dress in my life. I put it on because it was pink and I love pink. And I was like, I love pink. I'll put on pink because pink makes me happy. So I put on this pink dress. I go downstairs. I'm late at this point because I like changed 4 times. And he was waiting for me downstairs. And downstairs was this cute old car that he had hired to drive us to
So
Palais Royale.
sweet.
So we get in this cute old car, and this cute old car drives us around Paris and past the Eiffel Tower as it's sparkling. And then to Palais Royale, where we get out, and he proposed in Palais Royale. And it was funny because we got there and it was like, it was so late at this point because I had made us late, which is the most me thing ever to make us late.
Yeah. Your outfits, you had to figure it out. Yes.
It's like dark and almost closing. And so by the time he actually like goes to propose, we both were laughing. Like we were laughing so hard. And he was like, you know, at some point saying like, oh no, this is a disaster. Like I tried to plan this perfect thing. It's a disaster. I was like, this isn't a disaster. I was like,
it's perfect.
Right now it's perfect. Right now I am just me and you are just you. And it's not this weird, like neither of us is putting on a show and we're just cracking up, which is who we are, just having fun and laughing, and we're in our favorite place in the world, and it's not weird right now, and it's actually perfect. And so then he proposed right outside Palais Royale as we were leaving. And then he had booked our favorite restaurant, which was great. And we went there that night for dinner, and it was wonderful.
That's incredible. What a dream. I feel like, I'm not going to say every girl, but like most girls, I feel like you are living their dream life. Like as far as like moving to Paris, like finding this man who lives above you, like having the most like funny romantic like proposal. It's like it's all happening. It's so fun. I love your story so much. All right. So you're engaged, and that happened, was it this past fall? When was that?
That was May.
May. Okay. Okay. And you guys are in the thick of wedding planning right now. Is that right? Because it's kind of coming up in a few months. So maybe
I'm like a 1950s bride who's planning my wedding in 3 months. We're just like
amazing. I love it. So walk me through that process. What's it been like so far?
It's been easy and not. I am a very, very chill and not, over the top, panicked or stressed out bride. I am very much just concerned about having the people I love most here. And for me, we're doing it here in Paris. And for me, it's really about the chance of having my family all at once in the city I love the most, which has never happened and will most likely never happen again. There are now 19 of us, just my immediate family.
Wow, that's a big family.
Their spouses, their kids, and my mom and dad. They, of course, have never met his family and his whole family. My mom and dad have, but that's it. So that's like an insanely special thing for them all to get to meet, and to have my whole family here all together all at the same time is truly something that will, like I said, probably never happen again.
Yeah. Will it be at your church?
And it's at our church, which is incredible and so special.
Wow.
So to me, I'm not stressed about I'm not worrying about any little details. I don't have a Pinterest board. I'm not worried about, what are the favors going to be, or what's the, I don't even remember what these things are called, but like basically all these little like extra things that the last time I planned a wedding, I was literally in a ball on the floor. I mean, I'm sure for several reasons, but like just such a ball of stress and anxiety over things that didn't matter. This time I am much more like, I get to have all the people that mean the most to me in Paris celebrating me and the love of my life. They're coming for 2 weeks,
Cool. That's fun.
We all get to be together doing a lot of fun things during that time. It's basically like a little like extended vacation. And it's been really beautiful because for me, I'm kind of planning like, I get to show the people I love most, the city I love most, and I get to really show them our love story. Like we're planning our wedding as like here's our love story. It's happening in the place where our love story happened. It's not, we didn't just pick a beautiful location we love and we're planning this fabulous wedding. It's really like everything is very thoughtful and intentional. It's like we chose this
Mm.
place because this is where this happened. We're choosing this because this is part of this. And like everything is really in order to show everybody, this is the life I've built here. This is the life we built here together after we met. And we want you to experience it, and we want you to be a part of it. And we're so glad we get to share it with you during this time. And we hope we can create these new memories here all together during these 2 weeks. And it's so special to me to get to do that, that I'm really just focused on that, on how lucky I am to get to have this opportunity to do this, and then to get to share it with everybody that means so much to me.
Yeah.
So it's a
I
really
think that's so special.
small, intimate wedding, which is
How
what I
many
always
guests are you thinking? Yeah.
it's just 40, 45.
That's great. That's
Which
so
was
great.
always my other wedding was
Yeah, definitely.
75. And it
Mm-hmm.
was always truly,
So
I'm
good.
very excited to be planning everything and to get to do that. And we're having it's been really fun to get to figure out like what do we want to do, and what do we get to share with people, and how do we get to make it special.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, plan would be to do the ceremony at the church, and then will you have like a reception time afterwards, like at a different venue or a
Yes.
restaurant or yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and because in France you have to get married legally before you can get married in any kind of
Okay.
religion. So we have to have a city hall wedding, which is actually really fun.
That
When I
is
first
great.
learned,
That's fun.
it's really fun and it's really meaningful because I've now
Yeah.
gone to city hall weddings here. And for the French, like that is their wedding, like after
Right.
like that is, many people don't do anything else. They just have that city hall wedding and then their party if you don't choose to have any kind of religious ceremony or any other ceremony anywhere. So we'll do that, and you have to do that before the religious one. So that will hopefully be
Mm-hmm.
the day before, but we're still waiting to hear from French administration what day that can be.
Yeah,
We
for
don't know when it
sure.
will be, but it'll be sometime before. Hopefully the day before,
Yeah.
so that it can like be momentum building.
Right.
But
Are
we'll
you
get to do
mixing a lot
that.
of like American and French traditions into your day?
Yeah, I mean, it will. Yeah, I guess we are. It's so interesting. I don't. I kind of like the lines have blurred for me so much now that I don't even fully know like which is which. Like in some ways, I'm just like it's just like, oh yeah, the traditions, like that's what you do. But I guess the city hall day is pretty much fully just French. Like that is that. I mean, that ceremony's in French. That's over at the cute little every arrondissement here, every neighborhood has its own town hall. So and you have to get married at your town
I
hall
love
for your
that.
neighborhood, and that's fun because then you get to do like the whole
So
city hall
good.
bride. You get to have a look for that. You get to
Yes, totally.
have their own little party after that, which is more chill. So we'll do that, which is fun, and then we'll have the ceremony the next day or a week after, whenever we can
Mm-hmm.
organize it. But then that's like to me that's more like the real wedding because to me the religious ceremony is more the ceremony that is more meaningful to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then after that we'll have a more proper reception. I was initially just like good with a dinner, and then it
Right.
spiraled.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
totally understand.
exactly.
I mean, you have to consider always what the person you're marrying also wants. And
Yeah.
and like I said, like I would have been fine from the get-go of like just very low key, but
Yeah,
I can easily be
definitely.
convinced into throwing a party. It's not a hard sell
Yeah.
for me.
Totally. I love it. I love the vibe of everything that you're doing. It just sounds so you guys, and it's like not over the top, and it's going to be so like meaningful and special to have like your closest people, really small, close-knit circle of you guys just spending 2 weeks together. It's sounds amazing. Um
When you really deeply know every single guest like that,
yeah,
it to me it opens up what you can do more. Like the things
totally.
we've been able to plan that I've been like, well, yeah, we can do that because I know the dietary restrictions of every single person. Like I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
no, there's no vegans coming to this, or like, I know there's
Right.
no one has a gluten allergy here, or like I know everybody is on board for this type of humor, or like there's just certain things that when you do like deeply know every single guest, it just changes the game a bit as to like what you can plan. So it's been
Right.
fun to plan because it really is planning an intimate party instead of a wedding.
Yeah, definitely. That's so cool. So, something that I ask every guest on the podcast is, do you have any advice for other couples who are planning their weddings right now? And I know
Oh, I
you gave so much advice already as far as like relationship, like so good and like so rich. Like marriage advice is what I absolutely love. And because that's the rest of your life we're talking about here, you know? So, yeah.
my
Any
biggest
other tips or thoughts?
my biggest advice would be to not listen or care about what anybody else says.
Mhm.
And it's very, very hard to take, but in my opinion, keep in mind that like this is your wedding. It's a celebration about you. The
Yeah.
Don't First wedding drove me nuts and I ended up in a ball crying is because I was trying to please everybody but me. I was
Yeah,
trying to
that's
please
tough.
so many other people who were like, well, what about this? Well, we can't do that. Well, how are you going to, I changed the venue because of people
Oh
telling
my gosh, that's sad.
how are we going to be outside because it's going to be 1,000 degrees and I'm going to be sweating and we're going to have fans and my heels are going to be sinking into the grass. And I was like,
Oh
okay, never
no.
mind. Okay, I won't do an outside wedding. We'll just go inside. Like,
Oh, sad.
like, and
Yeah.
it can become so stressful and overwhelming if you just are only listening to what everybody else is saying and thinking. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter because it's not their day and it's not their event and they're not paying for it or planning it. And so you got to do what you want to do and you got to please
Yeah.
keep in mind that like to me, I stop and think someone who's making your wedding about them,
Right.
like it should
That's
be
not
about you
good.
and celebrating you.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like
Totally.
their headspace isn't in the right space and you have to kind of
Yep.
put up blinders as to like, thanks for your advice that I didn't ask for, or just learn to not ask for
Yes.
advice at all.
I love that response. I know. Such
I mean, say
great
it in your head.
advice.
Say it out
Right.
loud.
Yeah, I know.
Say
You
it
don't
out
want
loud.
to burn bridges in this process,
Yeah,
but yeah.
burn bridges. Say, it's
Yeah.
all in your own head that you're doing this, but just learn to be like, okay, great, thank you, and in your head, just be like, I'm not
Right.
taking advice. I'm
Mhm.
just gonna keep doing me.
Yeah,
But
I know. So good. Oh my gosh. Well, I am so excited for you guys. Maybe let's wrap up. Can you tell us a little bit about your book and what you have going on? All the fun things just in your life outside of weddings?
yeah, I'm working on a new book, which I'm super excited about. I mean,
Ooh.
my other book has been out for 2.5 years now, which is amazing. But I'm working on a new book, which I was just working on in Greece, that is hopefully, I mean, book processing, publishing is so long. I can't even say, if I say hopefully we'll be out in, I don't know, 2030.
Right.
But it's always wonderful and inspiring, especially to have like multiple creative projects going on at the same time in different realms. Like they feed each other differently. So it's nice to be like writing a book, but then also be doing something that's like, physically creative, like planning an event. So that has been fun to be like back at writing again because I took like a full year break after my last book came out, which I just mentally needed.
Yeah. Right, I'm sure.
But
Yeah.
I still am doing. I mean, I just did an event for my other book in May, which was wonderful. I mean, I love sharing that story is something that I can continue to share and is kind of just always this gift that is something that no matter where I am and what I'm doing, I can really use to tap into and share no matter no matter what, it's come up in so many different ways. It, like, you publish a book and it just becomes this piece of you, basically,
Yeah.
is is a real gift that you don't even understand all the ways that it changes other people's lives and changes your own.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing. It's like sharing a part of you that other people can see, and you might not even know who this person is reading your book, but it's really making a difference, which is really cool.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, so exciting. And yeah, keep us posted on release date and everything. We can, repost it and everything for you. And we'll link to your other book and your socials all in our show notes. Was there anything else that you wanted to leave us on before we say goodbye?
No, that's it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Congratulations. Cannot wait to see the photos and videos from your wedding that you post. And I'm so happy for you guys. It's going to be
Thank
so
you.
great.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Bye, Anna.
Bye.
There you have it, another episode of the Wedding Reporter podcast. To see those gorgeous wedding and engagement photos, head over to NashvilleBrideGuide.com for more behind the scenes content. And if you like this episode, I would so appreciate it if you would rate and subscribe the show. See you next time for another great episode.